Federal government to re-engineer Nigeria's manufacturing sector. President Bola Tinubu will this Wednesday present to a joint session of the National Assembly the 2024 Appropriation Bill for consideration and approval. Communication to that effect, read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, indicates that the President will lay the proposed 2024 budget bill by 11 a.m. Meanwhile, President Tinubu is seeking the approval of the Senate for the abridged 2022-2024 external borrowing rolling plan of $8.69 billion and 100 million euros. The amounts are to be deployed to address huge infrastructure deficit for the development of the country.
Underscore the fact that the projects and programs in the borrowing plan were selected based on positive technical economic evaluations, as well as the expected contribution to the socio-economic development of the country, including employment generation, skills acquisition, support towards the emergence of more entrepreneurs, poverty reduction and food security, to improve the livelihood in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. Considering the huge infrastructural deficit in the country and the enormous financial resources required to fill the gap in funding infrastructure in the face of dwindling financial resources, it has become imperative that we resort to prudent and external borrowing to bridge the financial gap, which will largely be applied to key infrastructure projects, including power, railway, health, among others. Given the nature of these facilities and the need to return the country to normalcy, it has become necessary to request the Senate to consider and approve the 2022 to 2024 external abridged borrowing rolling plan to enable the government deliver its responsibility to Nigerians through expeditious disbursement and efficient project implementation.
And still on Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja for Dubai, United Arab Emirates, to attend the COP28 Climate Summit, also known as the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference. At the World Leaders Summit, which takes place on December 1 and 2, 2023, under the theme Unite, Act and Deliver, President Tinubu will deliver a national statement highlighting Nigeria's stance on various thematic issues, including renewable energy and climate financing. Mindful of the severe impact of climate change on Nigeria, such as desertification, flooding, erosion, drought, and national security arising. Therefore, President Tinubu will maximize the opportunity afforded by the platform to advocate increased financial and technical support for developing nations, while reminding developed countries of their public pledge to provide $100 billion annually for support to localized initiatives to address climate change-related challenges. The President's message will also focus on holding businesses and institutions accountable, reflecting Nigeria's dedication to sustainable and responsible practices. NATO members have pledged to stay on course in helping Ukraine fight Russia despite doubts over U.S. support and Finland to shut its last border crossing to Russia. Details with Uche Uguchukwu.
Foreign ministers of NATO member countries are meeting in Brussels, Belgium, where fears are being entertained that lack of adequate support from the West could end up forcing Ukraine from a position of weakness, seek a compromise with Russian President Vladimir Putin. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said at the meeting that the United States reaffirmed its support for Ukraine as it continues to face Russia's war of aggression. The United States has provided over $40 billion in security aid to Ukraine since Russia's invasion and pledged to back Kyiv for as long as necessary. although opposition from the Republicans has questioned the future of U.S. assistance.
I'm confident that the United States will continue to provide support because it is in the security interest of the United States to do so.
Stoltenberg pointed to recent pledges from Germany and the Netherlands worth 10 billion euros as proof that the alliance remained committed to backing Kyiv. The European Union is currently also struggling to agree to a plan for its own long-term support for arming Ukraine in the face of opposition from Hungary. Germany's Foreign Secretary said the necessity of supporting Ukraine was not about whether Ukraine can still make any progress militarily, but about saving lives. In the meantime, Finland's Prime Minister says the country will shut its last border crossing to Russia following an influx in migrants claimed to be a hybrid attack orchestrated by Moscow. The closure, which is to come into effect between Wednesday and Thursday, will last until December 13. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Sierra Leone's government has described as an attempted coup Sunday's attack by armed men on institutions in the capital city. Sierra Leone's Minister of Information, Chernoba, said that gunmen had tried to subvert and overthrow the government on Sunday. The assailants attacked a military barracks and prisons, freeing around 2,000 inmates. At least 19 persons comprising security forces and a civilian died in the violence. The minister said many of the leaders are either in police custody or on the run. He said they will be captured and dealt with in accordance with the laws of Sierra Leone.
Failed attempted coup. They don't determine, say, the threshold where they look at all the details we then get now as the investigation they continue. That in fact, the intention of them people here now be for illegally subvert and overthrow the democratically elected government of this country.
Indian National Disaster Management Authority says a breakthrough is expected soon as rescue teams digging by hand are within just 5 meters of reaching 41 men trapped in a collapsed road tunnel for 17 days. Uche Ugochukwu has details. Beaming smiles, the rescued men welcomed as heroes. I beg your pardon. Indian workers were greeted with wild cheers and flowers garlands Tuesday as rescuers safely brought out all 41 from the collapsed Himalayan road tunnel where they were trapped after a marathon 17-day engineering operation. Beaming smiles, the rescued men were welcomed as heroes after being pulled through 57 meters of steel pipe on stretchers specially fitted with wheels where they were greeted by state officials before embracing their families. Crowds outside the tunnels cheered as the news spread that all had made it safely out of the tunnel under construction in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand, where they had been caged since a partial collapse on November 12. Relatives outside celebrated after previous hopes of reaching the men were repeatedly dashed by falling debris and the breakdown of multiple drilling machines in a rescue operation by the government said took place in challenging Himalayan terrain. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources and Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, has reiterated Nigeria's commitment to speedy completion of the Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. He re-echoed the commitment during an interface with the Moroccan ambassador to Nigeria, Moha Ali Tagma, in Abuja. Lydia Sampson has the details.
The Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline was proposed in December 2016. Agreement between the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Moroccan Office National Board of Hydrocarbons and Mines. The pipeline, on completion, will connect Nigeria's gas to every coastal country in West Africa, talking about Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Senegal, and Mauritania, ending at Tangiers, Morocco, and Spain. It is apparently an extension of the existing West African gas pipeline, which already connects Nigeria with Benin, Togo, and Ghana. This interface is to further deepen bilateral cooperation and also navigate ongoing process for speedy implementation.
It is a good thing that you have come to show commitment to this collaboration. And I can assure you, whatever is needed from the Office of the Honorable Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas, who provide those necessary engagement, necessary support and collaboration so that we succeed.
The objective of this project is not to transport gas only, but also to be projects to develop and to offer some opportunities for the development of all these countries between Nigeria and Morocco.
Upon completion, the gas pipeline will be the world's longest offshore pipeline and second longest pipeline. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
For equitable distribution of resources, the principles of equity, fairness and justice are tools needed. These principles formed part of the charge given by the Federal Character Commission to ministries, departments and agencies at a sensitization program for North Central Zone in Abuja. Francis Udojo has the details.
Since the start of the sensitization program for this year, the message has been on imperative of accurate data submission for national development in partnership with critical stakeholders for balanced development. The aim is to curb the challenge of inappropriate distribution of the nation's resources and ensure the renewed hope agenda of the present administration is achieved in the interest of all Nigerians. Mr. James Jan Kolo represented the SGF and the chairman of the commission at the event.
Each MDA has a mandate. Our task by our oath is to ensure that all resources that are available to us are distributed to cover each part of the country or within the area of our jurisdiction, so that every citizen will feel the sense of belonging.
Each state that has less than 2.5% of representation in that particular MDA implies that that MDA is underrepresented. So by bringing their nominal roles, we analyze the CBI, and anytime they are going to do their recruitment, we now do the adjustment.
Papers on the federal character principles, the renewed hope agenda and tool for fair and equitable distribution of socio-economic amenities and infrastructural facilities for even development were presented.
If the resources are equitably distributed, if there is no neglect of any part of this country, everybody is carried along. There is going to be unity, there is going to be integration.
The presentation is to give MDAs information on the readiness of the Commission to collect data from all the MDAs.
FCC, however, charged MDAs to always ensure they submit their nominal roles for balanced distribution of the nation's resources. In Abuja, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Nigeria has the capacity of being a $1 trillion economy within the next 3 decades, but this can only be achieved if the country can re-engineer its manufacturing sector. This formed part of the issues raised by the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, at the conferment of fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers and him and other outstanding Nigerians at the ongoing 2023 Conference of Nigerian Society of Engineers. Ekene Ndulue reports.
It is a gathering of engineers from all over Nigeria, and they are concerned with enhancing Nigeria's economic growth by improving the manufacturing sector. Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the ceremony, is not unaware of the challenges facing the manufacturing sector, and he recounted ongoing measures to tackle the problem, including a major tax reform. He is elated with his investiture as Honorary Fellow, Nigerian Society of Engineers.
The Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, we inaugurated in August. We need a comprehensive reform of our tax landscape, as already completed since 1974, and it's working on the next stage of this management. Our goal is to increase Nigeria's tax revenues while also reducing the burden of individuals and businesses.
Also conferred with fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers are the Minister of Niger Delta Development, Abubakar Momo, and the Governor of Nasarawa State, among others, for their contributions to the engineering sector in Nigeria.
This recognition, we still want to do more, and particularly when we now find ourselves in the Niger Data Ministry. We also collaborated with the Nigerian Society of Engineers in order to mitigate the effect of climate change in that region.
There are high expectations from the conference, and these stakeholders are confident that the week-long engagement will provide needed solutions to enhance manufacturing in Nigeria. Ekene Ndulue, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We'll take a short break. The news continues. The need to expand access to quality tuberculosis services and fund as strategies to end TB in Nigeria has propelled the National Tuberculosis, Buruli Ulcer and Leprosy Control Program in collaboration with Stop TB Partnership Nigeria to convey a 2-day national stakeholders consultation on public-private partnership. Uche Ugochukwu has details of the meeting in Abuja.
Research shows tuberculosis remains one of the high-ranking diseases in Nigeria, with about 300,000 cases still missing despite relevant efforts. This calls for the need for innovative approaches and partnerships with the private sector being brought on board to expand access to quality TB services and resources.
Our shared responsibility extends beyond awareness to building the capacity of our team members in the PPP advocacy, policy analysis, and communication skills, but also empowers us on how to effectively advocate for policies, regulations, and incentives that will encourage private sector involvement in TB control.
Private medical sector provides about 60% of the healthcare needs of the Nigeria. So involving them in TB control is actually a veritable strategy that we ensure that everybody with tuberculosis in Nigeria is diagnosed and put on treatment.
The challenge has to do with funding, and that is why we're expanding to private and then calling every person to be on board. The philanthropists, we need to harvest that money because we need to fish out those with tuberculosis on time.
This national consultation, among other benefits, is expected to inform partners about the End TB project and set up a public-private mobilization advocacy team to control TB in the country. Tuberculosis is preventable and treatable, and so anyone who has coughed beyond 2 weeks is advised to go for the free TB test. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Due to the importance that has been attached to the rule of law as the guiding light of the society, attorneys general across the country are meeting to fine-tune the process of achieving legal aid and prosecution of the anti-corruption fight. This is at a meeting in Abuja with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. Olabode Arewa reports.
At the inception of the current administration, President Bola Tinubu signed into law the Nigeria Data Protection Act 2023, lending the necessary legal muscle to safeguard personal and corporate data. Legal practitioners have noted that this law and others, like the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, are positively adapting the nation's justice system to current social realities. And the General Council of the BAS meeting is addressing issues associated with deepening ongoing judicial reforms.
That issue is the issue of separating the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, or the Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, as the case may be. So as we embark on another round of constitutional amendment, it behoves on this body to come up with a position on whether to separate these two offices.
We must also focus on addressing the root causes of crime, poverty, inequality, and social exclusion.
Lending his voice to calls for judicial autonomy, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate, says a national policy summit on justice is in the offing to streamline the sector's operations.
We will, in this regard, seek to examine the current challenges within the justice sector institutions with the objective of supporting critical reforms necessary to build a resilient justice system.
The Attorney Generals are positive that with stakeholders' collaboration, justice will be seen to have been served to all. In Abuja, Olaboderewa, NTA News.
The Architects Registration Council of Nigeria has presented working tools to qualified architects to enable them contribute meaningful to national development. This was at the 11th retreat of the organization in Abuja. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports.
It was a convergence of members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects and Association of Nigerian Chartered Architects to celebrate newly qualified architects, registered architectural technologists, and architectural firms. Inducting the architects and presentation of seal, practice license, and certificates, ACON President Jikpo Ajayi charged the inductees to remain disciplined as they risk the withdrawal of their licenses if found in any form of misconduct.
Be honest and act with integrity. Promote your services honestly and responsibly. Consider the wider impact of your work. Carry out your work faithfully and conscientiously. Be trustworthy and to look after your client's money properly.
You know that you are not designing for yourself, but for the public, in which case both cost, both the function, and everything the building is needed for will be attained.
The registrar urged the inductees to always ensure due process in acquiring ACON project registration number.
This is the kind of forum we normally use to tell them the importance of APRN, because APRN is the only tool now we have that checks issue of cookery among the architects.
You know, architecture is not just about designing buildings. It is also about these social sciences of housing deficit, the need for housing, what type of housing, who should get what housing, and so on. It's all part of the training of the architect.
It's a milestone in every young architect's life because it's going to take a new leaf, starting a new life, and being recognized in a special way.
The ACON Act A19 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria empowers the council to set benchmarks to control the training and practice of architecture in Nigeria in all its ramifications. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
Moving to the aviation sector now, the issue of Air Nigeria has come to the limelight again, with the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Management, Festus Keyamo, clarifying that the fate of the national carrier will depend on the decision of President Bola Tinubu after his consideration of the report on the contract with Ethiopian Air. Fielding questions from State House correspondents, Keyamo revealed that there are issues that require clarifications and final decision of the President before the commencement of operations or otherwise. The minister said in reaction to the concerns raised by Nigerians and the National Assembly, his ministry has conducted a thorough investigation and found out some questionable clauses in the agreement.
All the documents, all the reports, everything we have forwarded to Mr. President. The issues we met on the ground. But just to say that it would have been irresponsible of me as minister to take over office, and I feel the pulse of Nigerians. I feel even the National Assembly raised concerns over that. And so many stakeholders. It would have been irresponsible to close my eyes totally to those concerns. So because of that, we suspended it to say, let's just look at all the issues and recommend. Now we have looked at all the issues and it's before Mr. President. But let me just give one or two snippets because of Nigerians who are, who are quick to judge. In the agreement, you are giving tax waivers to Ethiopian airline coming into Nigeria. They asked for tax waivers for 5 years and you granted them to come and compete with your local airlines who are paying those heavy taxes. How? You want to create a monopoly. That's why when they tell you that, we want to crash price by 70%, it's a lie. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul. because they have removed all taxes from you and you granted them the tax waivers. And initially, they will crash prices. Once you drive every other person out of the market, you now have a monopoly that you can hike it 500%. Nobody there to challenge you. The only thing that brings down prices in the commercial world is competition. It's fair competition. In the agreement, they also made a proposal that they will appoint everybody, top management, everybody Ethiopian in Nigeria, and we agreed. We agreed.
And that concludes the news. Thank you for watching. I am Frama Panye. Ozoma Taiwo has been the sign language interpreter.